Well, I just finished looking at Ironheart yesterday, and let me say, I really wanted to like this show. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really gonna like this show. And y'all that followed me from the old Mr. Griffith channel, y'all know how supportive I try to be of works featuring black people and all that. And part of me still is, even though I've become more even-ended in recent years. Because to me, like I said, a lot of that pro-black stuff was too toxic for me. And it just didn't agree with my heart and spirit, because I want to be accepting of all people and stuff. But there is a part of me that still roots on. And like Ryan Coogler, even though I had a few problems with it, Creed was cool. Creed was cool. Black Panther, there was a few problems, but I had no problem with that overall. It's still a classic. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, by the way. Even Black Panther Wakanda Forever, even though I thought it was meh, it's not the worst film I've ever seen. It's not the worst film. And Sinners, that I recently saw a month ago with the Nature Girl 30, which, by the way, she's here with me to talk about it because she's watched it as well. That was a classic. If you haven't seen Sinners, I'd recommend looking at it. If you like horror films or horror films with some kind of messaging in it, yeah, check it out, because, I mean, it's nice. But getting back to the subject, I really want to like Ironheart. I really want to like, even though Riri Williams just came off to me like, in Wakanda Forever, I was like, well, maybe they'll do something better with her. So I looked at it. Looked at all 6 episodes. And I came out of it with a feeling that, and I know another bigger YouTuber than me named Thorias Unlimited said the same thing, but I'm going to say it here. After watching all 6 episodes, I was like, damn, I miss She-Hulk. And I never thought I would say that, because She-Hulk was horrible, but She-Hulk at least had one decent episode, and that was the one with Daredevil. And She-Hulk at least was so bad that I could actually go back and watch it and make fun of how bad it is and entertain myself that way. This show, Ironheart, was so awful. I can't even go back and make fun of it. I can even go back and make fun of Echo a little bit about how tone deaf they were, and about talking about, oh, we changed her powers because her powers from the comic book suck. Which me and Regina could get into a whole discussion on video about that entirely. But we're trying to keep it focused on Ironheart. I mean, this, and I may use some salty language during this video. I'm sorry, this girl came off, she tried to come off as tragic, sympathetic and stuff, and I know some from the pro-black crowd ain't gonna agree with me, but I'm sorry. This little woman came off as an entitled bitch forget telling them to get the switch and get a good one. No. She's the one, I probably would have took my own belt off, whooped her behind, then threw the belt to the side, went out and got my own switch, and came back and probably whooped her some more. I know that's brutal, but I personally have some feelings about corporal punishment. But in her case, oh no, it would be completely justified and understandable. Oh, this woman came up. She had a free trip into MIT. Okay? Was supposed to be one of the smartest people. But then I've known some people who were very, very smart, very book smart, but were complete dumbasses when it comes to common sense. I mean, come on. I mean, you try to tell me, even when you got kicked out of MIT, she came up with some brilliant stuff afterwards. But what did she choose? She chose the streets. She chose to run with hoods. She chose to run with criminals to rob people. Just that little shield I think it was like episode 5 when them two girls were trying to kill her.
Yeah.
Just that shield alone that she came up with, that she invented by herself. She could have took that, sold it to get a patent on it first, so you can really get paid. Sold it to any tech company and made millions, if not billions. Get an honest attorney and an honest accountant to handle your money, and she could have been straight. She could have moved to the good side of Chicago. She'd have to stay in the hood of the streets, but no. She picked that. And I'm like, are you sure this is Ryan Coogler that wrote this? Because I know he tends to lean a little pro-black, but I was like, brother, I know you write better than this, because I've seen your better stuff. I know you write better than this. Oh, I was like, what is this? And I mentioned Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Could she contact Shuri or something? Maybe hooked up with them. Boom. Work for them for a while. Boom.
But let's think about it. Now, we always complain about them not using the source material and trying to go against the grain. This is probably, and I've seen a few panels of Ironheart. I did not buy the comic. I would never buy that comic. I have seen a few panels of it. And of course, they give a few samples sometimes when you actually look at Google Play. But the thing is, they stuck to the source material of who this person is. And unfortunately, Ryan Coogler, he is a very brilliant director. He actually not only sticks to things historically, he also plays into the stereotypes of that era. To be honest with you, Riri Williams was a walking stereotype, and that's how she was written. And unfortunately, it's the stereotype that black people are trying to run away from. And unfortunately, it exacerbated even more when the series came out. Because, I mean, let's be honest. I never really liked Riri. I felt like they tried to make her into the black Tony Stark, which didn't work. They tried to connect her with Tony Stark, even though the person that created the character don't even own the rights to the name. And not to mention that she has no affiliation with Tony, because Tony was long gone in the MCU when they came out with that comic book. And she was supposed to be, Tony Stark was supposed to be a mentor to her. But the things that she did to get where she wanted to be was just as sinister in the comics as it is in the actual show. The one thing that black people are trying to run away from is being thieves, being slaves, being hood rats, being just straight up sinister, and even criminals. In every movie we have seen since Black Panther, that is what we have seen. And for all the black people who are defending this, makes me wonder, have you really watched it? Have you really watched the series, or are you just defending it because black? Which really does annoy me. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Riri deserves better. I'm like, no, they stuck to the source material. This is who she is. She is an incredibly narcissistic jerk who does not care about anybody but her. That's just what it is. That's who her character is. Except they toned it down way more than they did in the comics. From what I've read, a little bit I've read.
The comic version is worse than what we see here. This is actually the toned down version of Riri Williams.
Pretty much. But I will say some positive points about this show. I'll say some positive points.
You found some positive?
Yep, I did.
Okay.
2 characters. One was Natalie. Natalie, who, even though we knew nothing about her when she was alive, she was actually a true friend as an AI. She was the one that literally had to tell her what she didn't want to hear, and not what she wanted to hear. She was that friend that told her to sit down when she needed to. And that's the type of friend that you need. I liked, before he was Zeke, he was Joe. And I actually do like Zeke Stang. I actually like him. He was a very interesting character. Not only that, the guy he didn't really want no smoke. All he wanted to do was just live his life in peace. And then he got dragged into it by her. And the sad thing is that Riri really didn't care that she threw this man in jail and pretty much framed him for murder when he had nothing to do with it. And she's just not a very likable character at all. They tried their best to put in some very sentimental moments to make her more human. But I'm sorry, she's a walking, talking narcissist. And you're not going to really like it because narcissists don't like saying I'm sorry. You're never going to get that out of them. And unfortunately, she's the type of character that just can't be liked. She's incapable of being liked. The only way they can fix her is rewriting her character totally and taking the original comic and just trashing it. And just rewriting it and make that the canon one. That's the only way you can fix her.
If they were ever going to rewrite a character, this is the one they should have.
Right.
I mean, you keep some of the elements, but you have to have redeeming qualities. Like Tony Stark, just to put it bluntly, he was a jackass. But over time, we saw, even in the first film, we start to see redeeming qualities with him. We started seeing redeeming qualities, and we saw that over the course of the MCU. Many of the key characters, we saw growth. I mean, of course, in the case of Thor, I don't care what nobody says. Because one guy, and I'm not trying to call you out, because I actually like your stuff, brother, but Illogic, who talked about this show,
didn't really
defended
see
one of the well,
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. I could be wrong, but the fact that his logic was definitely ill, in my opinion.
Well, let me say this. He mentioned, well, what about the other bad MCU stuff, like the first, like Thor: Love and Thunder, and the first two Thor films, and that's what I almost, because we was listening in my Jeep, was listening to that. I almost stopped the car, pulled over, like, what did he say? I was like, what? I was like, back up. Thor: Love and Thunder, agreed 100%. That thing was garbage. That thing was total garbage. But Thor Ragnarok, the only one he wouldn't name was Ragnarok. And I'm like, Ragnarok is overrated. Sure, what was it? Was it okay? Yes, at least to me it was. But it's a bit overrated. But I think the first two Thor films, I don't want to get too far off of the subject, but the first two Thor films, I think, get trashed on way too much. They were not bad films. The second one particularly, I actually liked the second one. The only thing I will agree with everybody is the villain was trash.
But I guess, and to give some context to what we were talking about, Illogic actually did a reaction video to what the Critical Drinker thought of Ironheart. And I think it was like the first 3 episodes before the final came out. And he got on him a lot, kind of thinking that he was kind of trashing the actual person, the actual actress, instead of the character. But to be honest with you, Critical Drinker didn't say anything that nobody else has said. And even the black people who straight up said what they thought about it without being biased, they said the exact same thing. Riri Williams was in a position of being great. She got an MIT ride from Tony Stark's grant. She pretty much got a free ride in school, and people would pay anything to be in that position. And she ended up getting that position. She could have been great. She created an actual force field from a watch that she could have patented and made billions from it. She could have actually made a home patent and sold it to a tech company. Every ounce of technology she had, she could have sold and got millions to build that one suit. And I'm going to be honest, there's an enormous amount of flaws in the series. Not because of the fact she's black. People need to turn that off. It ain't about that at all. It's mainly because it was poorly written, it was poorly edited, nothing made any sense. They made Riri believe that she was intelligent, but she made too many mistakes. The villains were just outright dumb. And the Hood, they practically ruined that character. And if you haven't heard of the Hood, straight up look up, I think it was Mary Marvelite. Mary Marvelite actually did a video about the Hood. Look at that video. It is very interesting. That's a more interesting character than what we got in this series.
Yeah, I mean, but let me say this. Riri Williams is smart, but she has no common sense.
She's linear.
She has no common sense. She's too emotional. Yeah, people might say, well, she's young. She's young. I don't give that much of a pass. Mostly because, maybe it's because of my own upbringing. My folks, for better or for worse, they didn't give me no pass because of my age. They expected me to actually think before I act.
But I can't. I mean, we can't say she's emotional though. She was incredibly rigid. Not only that, she was very cavalier towards people's lives and people's feelings.
Yeah,
she would put
true.
people in danger a lot and not really think anything of it. She was always thinking about what she wanted to do and how she wanted to get there and screw everybody else. And the fact that she saw her best friend and her stepdad die can create a huge amount of a roller coaster of emotions. I am not going to deny that. She probably has a huge amount of PTSD. But the thing is, how they showed her panic attacks, how they showed her anxiety going up. They didn't make it look like that she had PTSD from seeing her.
It felt more like guilt.
It felt more like guilt that she was involved on why they died. That's how it was shot, and that's how it looked to me.
Yeah, and another thing, you could tell this one was somewhat dated because this was actually made 3 years ago. It's just now coming out. If anyone's calling it woke, it's because it was made during that period.
Right.
When Marvel and Disney was on that kick. And Kevin Feige finally put a stop to that. Be like, look, we're not doing this anymore. We tried it this way. It ain't working.
Yeah, they lost a lot of money, and that was a good decision on them. So if anybody calls it woke, they're not wrong. But just to make it clear, we are not going against the actress that plays Riri.
No, we're not blaming her.
We are not blaming her, even though, I gotta be honest, she needs a lot of work when it comes to her acting. She cannot emote to save her life. There's very little emotion coming out of her. And yeah, black people, and let's be honest, some black actresses can just kind of sway by on it by acting hood, and that's how they can get through it. I said the same exact thing about Michael B. Jordan. He's just now getting range, in my opinion, but she needs a lot of work. I don't think she needs to be in any more films until she learns how to be a little bit more emotional and to be able to emote those emotions and make people feel.
Yeah.
She's really stiff and wooden.
There is one thing I will give this show. Even though I thought he was introduced in the wrong show, Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto, chef's kiss. Near perfect as Mephisto.
But put in the wrong show. Place.
He was put in the wrong show.
Yeah, he was in the wrong show.
He did the best he could with what he was given, but he was in the wrong show.
He oozed charisma.
Yeah, he should have been in a Doctor Strange film. Even Agatha all along would have made more sense.
To be honest with you, and a lot of people have said this, and that's why I wish that the showrunners of WandaVision did their homework before they decided to take the job. It would have made more sense to have Mephisto introduced in that and have Mephisto as the villain instead of Wanda. And unfortunately, the showrunners did not do their homework. They did not know who Mephisto was, and they kind of messed things up.
Yeah, and just to say this briefly, let's be honest. They were starting to make some mistakes even before Endgame, but they made a whole lot of them after Avengers Endgame.
Because they wanted to do what DC's been doing all along. They didn't want to be connected to anything anymore. Sorry, you created a universe where that people started doing homework. You created it.
About the only one that they did that right with was that movie that's getting ready to come out, Fantastic Four: First Steps. They deliberately made it a different universe and put it in the 60s.
The reason why for that is because they're going to kill the multiverse and just make it linear from now on. That's the reason why they did it in the 60s. Because for the final, for Secret Wars, that is when they're going to kill the multiverse and we're going to have only one universe. That's the overall plan. Which, in my opinion, is dumb because they don't have a lot of ideas to push forward in the first place. And I doubt they even created a plan to even make this work. And the fact that you're going to have Ironheart, who is going to be a new Avenger, which makes no freaking sense whatsoever after what we saw. And knowing that we're not going to have a season 2, and she sold her soul to the devil. Mm-hmm. Why in the world would you want to have her as a new Avenger if that is a choice? Now, there's not any reason to rage or anything about that because we don't even know what's going to happen to her. She might just disappear off the face of the planet. But the fact is, if they add her in, the Young Avengers, it would make no sense. They better rewrite that character and rewrite her really well in order for people to care about her because the series she was in made her look bad.
Yes. Now, like I said, the only good stuff since Avengers Endgame, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, although you got to give part credit to that for Sony, which I still love that film for nostalgia. Only being that I'm 50 years old and I was born in the 70s. Only complaint, should have had Nicholas Hammond. But anyway, I've gone on about that one. But those two, along with, I don't care what nobody says, Daredevil Born Again was pretty good. That was pretty good. And really, Deadpool and Wolverine. Although, to be honest, that was part Fox, even though Fox has been bought by Disney.
But when it comes to this series, it's a given that it was supposed to be a movie, and they split it up into 6 episodes. Because of how it was shot, how it was edited, it looked like it was supposed to be a feature they were going to put in theaters.
And there were probably parts in it that we didn't see.
It looked badly chopped. Like, there's a lot of things that got cut out. There was a lot of things I wish they had in there. And to be honest with you, I am all for good character art. Riri had nothing. Like, she learned nothing throughout all 6 episodes. Learned absolutely butt kiss. And even though she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't have done it without you," she still treated her mom like crap. Didn't really apologize for that. She's after an AI that doesn't exist, except for the fact that she ended up existing in the final episode. What happened to your stepdad, the guy that kind of gave you the PTSD? Did you bring him back too? And then, let's be honest, Zarya was coming close to be one of my favorite characters. Close. But the fact of how they wrote her, I'm sorry. Like, your mama need to be slapped by leaving Kamar-Taj and not wanting to learn sorcery from the greatest, including Doctor Strange, who probably at the time was the Sorcerer Supreme instead of that whole crap with Wong. But either or, it would have made sense to actually learn from credible sorcerers instead of learning from her mom that probably don't know a damn thing. And then the fact that you have a daughter that's dabbling in the dark anyway, and dabbling in dark magic. And even though she warned her, and I'll give her this, she warned her, I don't know. It just seemed like she was just there. Like, she was there just to create drama, and that was it.
Yeah.
Even though Zarya was probably going to be a decent character if they gave her a little bit more development, but the fact is she was just there to get the whole story moving towards the finale. And they didn't really use anybody else. That kid that was trying to drag with the wheelbarrow, he got on my nerves. I wish he disappeared. Zay, do not get me started on that simp Zay. Zay was the biggest simp of the series. It made me just want to throw a shoe at him if he was in my face. Of how much that he just didn't understand she was not going to give him no play. And the fact that she was like, "Do you think I'm a bad person?" I'm like, say yes, she is a bad person. You know, one of those simps that believe in their heart that somehow that he has a chance to have that one moment with Riri. he was the biggest simp of the entire series. He was just annoying. And who comes in and say, hey, black people? Who comes in and say, hey, black people?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, we need to grab you, drop you in Harlem, New York, and hang out with Luke Cage for a minute. Maybe Luke Cage beat you some play, because good grief.
And now,
even his corniest line was better than anything Zeke said.
Yeah, I mean, like, Xavier was a very annoying individual because of the fact that he knew that Riri was up to no good, but I guess his dick was talking to him and just his brain kind of shut off, and he had to keep on giving her buttering her up with all this other stuff. And her mother got on my nerves too. She was the biggest enabler of the series. Your daughter literally not only came crashing it out of the sky in a suit that wasn't hers, she almost got you killed. She almost got her friend killed. She was literally trying to dabble in dark magic and pretty much harm everybody around her, and you calm? Really? There was a lot of enablers in the series, and I'm like, but then there was just to the point where they were telling her how it is. Like, look, the problem is you. They were being real for a second, but then they will always flip the switch and then go back into enabling mode. I just never could really understand the logic of these characters. But I just wish it all made sense. I guess the most disappointing part, and I'm just going to be realistic here, is the fact that this show had the potential to be good. It had the potential to be good. Not because of Riri. She was going to always be a terrible character because nobody really cared about her. Not to mention that her actual origin story is just as bad. But the secondary characters around her were more interesting than she was. And they could have made something...
Sounds like a worse version of Iron Fist.
Well, the thing is, Iron Fist was incredibly bad writing. And that's what this show was. It was poorly written. And I wish it was written better. This show had a chance to be great. It's just they focused too much on black. And it just seems like that it could have been, instead of being focused so much on black, you could have made a good story that had black people in it. And Ryan Coogler, he has done that. He has made actual movies that had black people in it, but black people in it were not the focus. It was what they were going through and how they got there. Mm-hmm. They actually had arcs. They actually had substance, which makes me feel like he just took the paycheck so he can create another movie. And I wish that there are times he just says no and don't do it. Because now his name is on it, just like how his name is on Wakanda Forever, and Wakanda Forever wasn't great. It really wasn't.
Wasn't as bad as this.
No, it wasn't as bad as this, but I'm sorry. You know how I feel about Queen Ramonda, but I'm not getting into that.
Oh, and that's another thing that bothered me.
They didn't even mention her, and she practically died saving her life, and she wasn't even mentioned at all. That bothered me, and I don't even like Queen Ramonda. But the fact that she sacrificed her life for a stranger, you didn't even bother to feel bad about that? No remorse? Not even a little bit of PTSD from that. Like, I would probably see that and then see what happened to your stepdad and let that add to the trauma, but you gotta get over that. If she was able to at least have some emotion from what happened in Wakanda to what happened in Chicago, I might like her a little bit. But they didn't even try here. They were so focused on where they were. They were so focused on Chicago, so focused on black, so focused on the stereotypes, which really got shot up to 11. It was just exhausting to watch. The only reason why I watched it was mainly for Natalie and also for Zeke. They were the only two I liked. I hated everybody else.
Yeah, and like I said, wrong show, but chef's kiss performance for Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto.
He was the best one, and not to mention the fact that how he was able to play into everybody's hands was pretty much sounds like how Mephisto's character would be. But we're not going to really know
Mephisto
now.
is pretty much Marvel's version of Satan.
Mm-hmm. talks in your ear, but it's up to you to make that call, and that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But we're never gonna really know what happened because they're not gonna do a season 2.
Yeah, which I partially can't blame them.
But they are talking about doing something with Zarya's character, and I don't know whether or not they're gonna do it in this phase or when the multiverse phase is over.
Yeah. Now, what I was gonna say? Oh, to wrap this up though, I really meant it when I said I wanted to like this show, but this show was so bad. It actually, She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany, your show still sucked, but I kind of owe you an apology. I thought Jennifer Walters was irredeemable. No, Riri Williams. I mean, let me put it this way: Jennifer Walters looks like. I'm trying to think of popular female. Jennifer Walters is Pepper Potts compared to Riri.
Jennifer Walters actually is likable.
Yes, despite the snarkiness.
She actually is likable. She's like the green version of Deadpool. And I actually like Jennifer Walters. And yes, the series was exhaustingly feminist. But it was also to the point where it was comical because I love Tatiana Maslany as an actual actress as well as any character she's played. If you haven't seen Orphan Black, watch it. That's all I gotta say. But
yeah, Echo, I kind of owe you an apology.
No, you
a little bit.
No,
your show still sucked. It was actually as bad as Ironheart, but the actress playing Echo, I mean, I'll cut her some slack because when she filmed them shows, she had just given birth.
Yep.
At the time,
she was really good in her action scenes. I'll give her that. Pretty much all it was ASL the entire time, so she didn't really have much dialogue except for that. But to be honest with you, I don't even know the actress's name that played Riri Williams.
I think I know her last name is Cox, ironically.
But I have no idea what her first name is. But she really does need, because from what she actually said in an interview, she did not have to go to an audition. They just asked her to take the role, and she took the role. She didn't even have to
Ironheart.
For Ironheart, she didn't even go to an audition.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was like,
and this is something she actually said in an interview. So the fact that she did not have to audition for this, and she just took the role, I'm sorry. That just seemed like it's checking a diversity box, and it shows she does not know how to act. She really does need work.
And again, I'll paraphrase this. The show was made 3 years ago.
Right.
3 years ago, Marvel and Disney was doing that crap.
And now they're not. So things are kind of, I mean, they should have taken the pay cut. Let's be honest. They should have taken the pay cut when it came to this and not really put this on the air. But now that it is, it's out there. I just hope it's not going to be a part of the MCU.
Yeah, I just hope it's not a death knell for that young lady's career.
She can get better over time.
Kind of the same way. I hope. What her name? Ema Vellani. I hope Miss Marvel's not the death knell for her because she actually was a good comedic.
She's gonna be in Young Avengers. She's fine.
Yeah, she was actually a good comedic actress. The show and the movie The Marvels just wasn't that good.
She's gonna be fine. To be honest with you, she's gonna be in Young Avengers and she's gonna probably run it. But the thing is that the person that plays Ironheart, she really does she needs a little bit more work.
Yeah.
But if she does want to still be an actress, she can get better over time. It's just that this was not a good role for her.
Yeah, I hope somebody gets a hold of that role and writes it better.
No, unless they axe the first comic that came out and make that non-canon, and then just make an actual another comic book that make that canon.
But I will say this. They wanted a black Iron Man or a black Iron character. I was like, Rhodey. Or if you wanted a female Iron version of Iron Man, you got two candidates. Gwyneth Paltrow's Pepper, or better yet, Morgan.
Wasn't she the rescue anyway?
Yes.
She was rescue in the comics, right?
Yes.
So we already got a female Iron Woman, whatever. But I mean, but the thing is, now that Morgan is, they're not going to involve her at all, which makes no sense. Just rewrite Ironheart. Make her a person that's not full of nothing but stereotypes that black people are trying to run away from. And black people, stop signing off on shit. Please. Actually watch it and look at it for what it is and don't look at the color. Can you do that for me? That'll be great.
Well, with that, I'm going to get off of here. I don't think I have nothing else to add. See ya.